Welcome to another BWWM romance audiobook. We're excited to have you join us. Whether you're into second chance romance, enemies to lovers, fake marriage, or any other trope, BWWM offers you the chance to escape into stories that will carry you away into heart-pounding romance and gripping characters. While we want to get you the full experience, some parts of this audiobook are abridged to stay abreast of YouTube's community guidelines. If you want the full experience, you can always head to BWWM Romance and use code VIXA40 to get the unabridged version of this audiobook for 40% off. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Chapter 1. John. Everyone is sitting around the table, staring at the screen. Any moment now, the latest TV commercial we've created for one of our biggest clients will air. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation. I stop myself from twirling the pen I'm holding. I reach for my glass and take a huge drink of water. The Americano I drank earlier is not helping with whatever it is I'm feeling right now at all. This is already my nth campaign here at Line Ad Agency, but each time we're launching, it still feels like my first time. I'm never one to rest on my laurels. I always compete with myself to make sure what I'm doing today is better than what I did yesterday. All of a sudden, the show segment ends, and the first few notes of our commercial rings through the speakers. Everyone focused their attention on what's playing. Even though I've already seen this final version, I watch it as if I'm seeing it for the first time. It's the longest 30 seconds of my life. When it ends, everyone bursts into applause and loud cheers. Congratulations are exchanged with each other. All of the long nights we spent on this account are worth it. It might have cost our blood, sweat, and tears, but in the end, we take pride in what we've done. Not to mention the generous payout we got. The excitement dies down and I clear my throat, trying to get the attention of my colleagues. I raise my hand as I make a short speech. I'd like to thank my entire team who worked with me tirelessly to produce this. We couldn't have done this without your dedication and teamwork. But as usual, there's more to come. So recharge yourselves quickly and be ready to get back into action. Another round of applause, then I leave the meeting room. My phone rings as soon as I get to my office. To my surprise, it's the vice president of operations of our client. I knew you could do it, he tells me. Congratulations on a job well done. The feedback we've been getting on social media is crazy. As soon as you're able, I'd like to have a meeting with you so we can expand our contract and work on our next project. Wow, thank you, I reply. I'll have the meeting scheduled soon. We talk for a little bit more before ending the call. I immediately send an email to the bosses about the client's requested meeting and the possibility of renegotiating our contract with them. I can't help but smile to myself as soon as I hit the send button. Who would have thought in less than a year I'll already be at this position? Coming from another ad agency, I applied here at Line Ad Agency with nothing but my experience and determination. I accepted the junior position they offered, promising them I'll prove myself in no time. The employees of this agency are very good, but they just don't have enough clients to keep the business going. I did everything I could, and luckily, in my third month, I was able to land a deal. I provided an outstanding advertisement to one of our local clients, which saved the plummeting business. It brought back Line Ad Agency to the roster of notable companies. One by one, we started to get noticed and clients began to come in. Within 6 months, I got promoted to immediate supervisor. I now handle a team of 10, and I'm allowed to pursue and get deals on my own. The higher-ups started noticing my work and me. Make no mistake about it, despite my last name, I don't leave anything to chance. Once I start working on a project, I put everything I have into it. I make a detailed plan and checklist, ensuring every little thing is covered. I work well with my team, and I'm very open to any ideas they bring to the table. We brainstorm until we find the perfect solution. I'm very thorough with everything I do. In fact, sometimes I feel I'm bordering on being obsessive-compulsive. It's Tuesday morning. I'm sitting behind my desk checking the latest email a client sent me. All of a sudden, Paul, my personal assistant, comes by. Hey John, how are you doing? I'm good. Anything you need? I ask. Well, Divine told me to tell you she needs you in her office as soon as you're free. Divine Conway is the operations manager of the agency. Either this is great news or I'm totally screwed. Did she tell you why? Paul shrugs. Okay. Tell her I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll just send this email I'm writing for a client. Got it. Paul nods and he goes on his way. I quickly finish what I'm doing, then I walk to Divine's office. I knock on the door and open it slightly. You wanted to see me? Divine looks up at me and gives me a hint of a smile. Ah, John, yes, please sit down. Were you able to see the email I sent regarding our client's meeting request? I ask. Yes, I'll have that scheduled shortly. I called you for a different reason, she says. Do you know Isaac Roberts? I pause for a while, trying to recall the name. That's the new guy who's going to run for New York City governor, right? Divine hands me a folder and I browse through it. It contains the profile of the young aspirant. Sources tell me he's looking for a new agency to pick up his campaign. I think he's got potential, and I want you to get him to consider line ad. Yes, a new challenge. Consider it done, I declare. Oh, if I may add, I know RB Works is going after this one too. Not Claire Simon again.
Chapter 2. Claire. Welcome to the RB Works family, I cheerfully announce, as John Wyatt hands over the signed contract to me. Quickly, I run through the document, inspecting each page to make sure everything is in order. It's a pleasure doing business with you, Mr. Wyatt. I'll see you again at our meeting next week, I say as I shake the hand of our latest client. I usher him toward the door of the boardroom, and after exchanging a few more words, he leaves. I gather my things and go back to my desk. I don't know how many accounts I've already closed while working here in RB Works, but each time they give me the yes and sign the dotted line of the contract, I can't help but feel elated. I'll probably never get used to this high. So, did you close the deal? One of my workmates asks me. Of course. That's never a question. It's only a matter of when, I wink. How do you do that? Well, some may think my ways are unconventional, but hey, it works, and it works damn fine. You should hold a seminar or something. Give us tips on how to be like you, she suggests. I sport a huge smile. I'll keep that in mind for when I have the time to do it. Or better yet, I might write a book. I glance at my watch and notice I've got some time on my hands. My next meeting isn't until 1 p.m. today, and I think it's best if I get a quick early lunch before diving into work. Taking my phone and purse with me, I go down the office building and look for somewhere to eat. With the sun shining high above New York City, the day is a little bit hot, and I don't think I'm in the mood to walk very far. I spot a small cafe around the corner, and I go inside. It looks nice and homey, despite being in the middle of towering skyscrapers. I go to the counter while I look at their offerings. What would you recommend? I ask the cashier. Our best sellers are our pasta dishes. You can also try our sub sandwiches, she offers. I get an order of 1 seafood marinara and a glass of peach iced tea. After paying, I settle in at one of the tables near the air coolers. I've been working with RB Works advertising agency ever since I graduated college. I used to intern in the company, and luckily, there was an opening when I finished school. The CEO offered me the position, and I grabbed it without a second thought. I started from the lowest position and worked my butt off until I reached where I am right now. Part of my personality is I've never been one of those conventional types of employees. I know there's already a tested formula on how to be successful at this, but I want to test my boundaries to see how far I can go. I like challenging myself and thinking out of the box. I don't like stereotype solutions. I want innovation. The advertising industry of New York is relatively small, with some notable players in it. So more often than not, we are familiar with each other, especially with our competition. I know I've officially been given the nickname of Black Widow within the industry. Believe it or not, I'm not one bit offended by it. In fact, I take that as a compliment. It just goes to show I'm already known and respected by a lot of people. You don't just get something like that overnight. In my years of working, I've devised some sort of plan to make sure the outcome of my work is effective. I'm able to promote our company's ad services to a wider audience without making it look like a hard sell. Again, I'm never the boring and traditional type. Most companies despise that. They know when you're running after them, and they'll make unreasonable demands. My food arrives, and I open up my social media accounts to browse a little. There's hype about a new commercial that was released today, and out of curiosity, I watch it. I've got a feeling about who created this ad, and I do a quick search after seeing it. As it turns out, I'm correct. The ad is by John Chance of Line Ad Agency. Many people think John is my main competitor, which is probably true. The last client we both went after was Petroleum Company, which I lost. I still don't want to talk about that now. Also, we're so different from one another in terms of how we work. I'm aggressive with all my propositions, making sure the client will see why they have to choose us. I never promise anything ridiculous, but I give them what they need. The majority of my clients are unable to say no to what I offer. Not that I would take no for an answer anyway. Refreshed from my break, I'm back at my desk, ready to take on the world once again. I open my email and see there's an urgent message from Robert Bauer, our CEO. I click on it. The first line reads, "Are you up for a challenge?" I continue. The email briefly explains about a promising young politician who's looking for a new ad agency. Robert is keen on landing this one, as it will greatly boost our company's name, not to mention our value. He tells me this will be my priority for now, with other prospects to be put on hold or reassigned to other people. He also says, I can personally pick who I want to be on my team to work on this. I click on the attachment and go over the profile summary. I'm going to need further research on this, so I can have the upper hand. I open the picture file, and on my screen is the photo of New York's upcoming gubernatorial candidate. Placing my hands under my chin, I stare at the picture, my mind already busy coming up with strategies. "I'm going to get you," I whisper.
Chapter 3. John. Over the next few days, I devote all of my energy researching about Isaac Roberts. I ask my team to get all the information they can about him, both good and bad. If there's one thing I've learned while working in this industry, is you should be prepared to tackle everything, so your enemies can't use the element of surprise against you. Every day we conduct checkpoint meetings to collate all the information we've gathered, brainstorm our strategies, and make sure we have a solution for any roadblock we might encounter. Word is already out Isaac's team is looking for an ad agency to take over their campaign, and I'm sure almost every company within the city's radius is going after this one. Honestly, I'm not afraid of any competition, but I'd sure like to beat RB Works and Claire Simon once again. Snagging Petroleum Company was a big deal, but as Devine pointed out, winning this contract will put Line Ad Agency, and of course me, at the top of the ladder. We've already sent feelers to them, and we're just waiting for an invitation so we can present our proposal. We're in the middle of our daily discussion when my assistant Paul suddenly pipes up. "Excuse me, guys, I just got a message from Isaac Roberts' team," he announces. Excited chatter starts. I hold up my hand so Paul can continue to speak. "What is it about?" I ask. "It's some sort of invitation. I think this is sent to all the ad agencies that are interested to get his campaign," he starts. "It says there will be some sort of meet and greet on Friday morning at Bryant Park." "Interesting. What else did the email say?" Paul shrugs. "That's about it. Although it's mentioned this is not a formal event and it will just be brief. Expect it to not be more than an hour. Kindly let them know we'll be there. I don't know if an RSVP is needed, but it's better to send our answer." Paul nods as he types away on his laptop. "Team, it's crunch time," I declare. "Let's show them what we're made of." The remaining days leading up to Friday were dedicated solely to creating a pitch that would make Isaac Roberts and his team choose us. We didn't work on anything else but this. I need to ensure the proposal is brief, but shows all the things we can contribute to his campaign. I invite Divine to sit with us at our final meeting so she can review and give comments on our output. She tells us our proposal is strong, but she still offered some additional pointers and advice to make it better. We make revisions until we're all satisfied with the outcome. I thank everyone for their hard work. Then we call it a night. I'm confident we can bag this one. Friday. This is the day I've been waiting for. Despite having only a few hours of sleep, I feel energized. I don't know if this is just adrenaline running through me, or if I'm just really excited. Once the alarm sounds, I immediately get off my bed, take a cold shower to wake up my senses, and do a quick shave. I want to look clean and professional when I personally meet Isaac Roberts. I look inside my closet for a couple of minutes, and finally decide on my charcoal gray tailored suit. I partner it with a light blue tie, which I know is one of the colors Isaac is already using. I hope he sees the affinity. I'm not really vain, but I know appearances contribute greatly to first impressions. And we all know first impressions usually last. Satisfied with the way I look, I grab my things and leave my apartment. I'm going to take a taxi to the park and meet Paul there. Paul's already at our meeting place when I arrive. I admire his punctuality, as I've always told him. Time is very important to everyone, and we should never waste it. I'm glad he listened. We're about an hour away from the event. Since we've got time, we walk to the nearest cafe we see, so we can get coffee. I got 2 cups of Americano and give one to Paul. We choose the best strategic place where we can sit down. After a quick discussion, we occupied a bench that has a good vantage point. We'll be able to see who's coming, plus Isaac and his team will surely notice us. A lot of people walk by, and I notice most of them do a double take to look at us. Maybe it's the good looks, or maybe it's the suit. Either way, I'm happy we're getting attention. A number of other ad agencies start to arrive too, a few of them familiar to me. All of us know this young gubernatorial candidate is looking for an experienced ad agency to take over his political campaign. My objective, be that choice and close this deal. Not long after, I can hear hushed tones around me. I know my number 1 competitor has finally arrived. I turn my head and I can see her confidently striding toward the venue. Her striking presence makes such an impact on some of the amateur agents. They retreat into the hidden parts of the place. It's kind of weird how it seems like they're almost afraid of Claire. She starts to look around as if she's surveying her property. Then her eyes land squarely on me. We gaze at each other for a few minutes, trying to size up and intimidate at the same time. I offer her a small smile and she nods almost imperceptibly. I hold up my chin, and she does the same as she walks to the opposite side. This is it. May the best man or woman win.
Chapter 4. Claire. I didn't push myself to come very early, as I wanted to make sure I'm thoroughly prepared. Appearance speaks volumes, and I don't want to commit the mistake of being underdressed or overdressed. Everything needs to be perfect right down to the minute details. I meticulously choose to wear light blue pants and a suit. I paired it with my nude 2-inch pumps. For my accessories, I'm sporting simple pearl stud earrings. I pull up my long black hair into a low bun near my nape. Taking one last good look at the mirror, I feel happy with the way I look. I get my purse and make my way toward the park. As expected, several representatives from different aspiring advertising agencies are already present. Walking across the venue, I can feel the eyes of almost everyone on me. I know my presence affects them. Some of those present are newbies in the industry, but I can also spot a few veterans. One very familiar face I see is John Chance. In all fairness to him, he looks very handsome in his suit, and the blue tie is a nice addition as a subtle nod to Isaac Roberts' colors. He's done his research well. Our eyes meet for a brief moment, and I can feel the challenge. Bring it on. I nod at him in response to the smile he offers. Then, I continue my own way. I'm going to make sure I get this one. Whatever it takes, Isaac Roberts' campaign to be New York's next governor will be under RB Works. This won't be another petroleum company scenario. I won't let my guard down and lose this time. I'm still a little bit sore on how John and his company snagged that account right under my nose. Petroleum Company is one of the largest oil companies in the country, and pretty soon they're bound to expand their business into a global setting. Imagine how much prestige it would be to provide them with their advertising needs. When I was waiting for their board's confirmation for the signing of the contract, what I got instead was a phone call telling me they found a deal better suited for them. That hurt like hell. It felt as though I wanted to quit and just sulk in my apartment. Good thing I quickly realized that won't do me any good. So after drinking through my frustrations, I cleaned myself and stood back up. Now I'm stronger than ever. Failure is not an option, especially not if Line Ad Agency will probably get it if we don't. I shake my head to get rid of any negative thoughts. I psych myself up to be ready for the upcoming battle. I choose a spot near the front so I can easily have access to Isaac if I need to. Unknown to others, I'm very much prepared. And to make sure we win this, I've got a trick planted up my sleeve, which I can use anytime. What did I do? Well, a couple of days ago, I personally visited Isaac Roberts in his home. Nothing too formal, and we didn't talk about anything related to the campaign. I said I just wanted to get to know him more and have a glimpse of his personality. At first, it's hard to get a read on him. He's amiable, but he's also kind of closed off, like he's protecting something. As we talked a bit more, he seemed to loosen up a bit. We talked about his background, his works, the charities he supports, and the plans he has for the city in the event he becomes governor. I tried to work all my charms on him to get him to our side, but surprisingly, he wasn't easy to influence. For that, he gets my admiration. I leave his home, unsure of what the result will be. One thing I'm sure of is I definitely left an impression, and I hope that works to my advantage. After our meeting, my team and I devoted the next few days leading up to the event today to creating a simple but powerful campaign for him. Once we're done, even I was amazed at the material we're able to come up with. This will be our ace. While waiting for the event to start, I sit down on one of the benches and review the campaign pack we'll offer Isaac Roberts and his team. I made sure everything is complete and in order, with only their signatures missing. By the time Isaac Roberts and his entourage arrive, everyone's already ready and prepared. They walk up to the center, greet the people around, and shake some hands. The governor, hopeful, walks to a makeshift podium and gives a short welcome address to those who are present. After that, he goes around to mingle with the different ad agencies. I think they're trying to filter who can be considered to handle their campaign. I take my time and patiently wait for my turn. As he walks toward my direction, I wave at him and he instantly recognizes me. I meet him halfway, then we exchange pleasantries. I come closer to him and I whisper in his ear, "Isaac, as we speak right now, my team is ready to launch a campaign that will surely propel your candidacy. I just need your yes, and I'll give them the go signal to publish it." His eyebrows rise in surprise. "What about the contract?" "We can deal with all the paperwork later. Let's make sure you get a great head start first." He smiles at me as if he was already expecting this. He shakes my hand firmly. "Welcome to Team Isaac Roberts, Claire Simon," he says, and that's how it's done.
Chapter 5. John. Everybody, please meet Claire Simon of RB Works. She'll be heading the team that will be handling my campaign, Isaac declares. I hope I'll continue to get all of your support on my bid as New York's next governor. There's applause everywhere. My ears start ringing. What just happened? Is this some kind of joke? The rest of the event went by so fast I didn't even have time to absorb what's going on. One second, I'm shaking Isaac Roberts' hand, telling him about Line Ad Agency, which I represent. The next thing I know, he's raising Claire's hand and announcing his new campaign team. I don't understand a thing. I know I need to catch up, so I walk over to Paul to give him instructions. Listen, Paul, there are some things I need to do first. Go ahead to the office, but don't tell anyone about anything that happened here. If they ask anything, tell them I'll explain later. Is that clear? He nods and gathers our things. Then we go our separate ways. I feel lost. I'm not sure where I want to go. This is not how things are supposed to be. I've got everything planned out. Now I don't know what to do. I need to clear my head and process things. Looking around the area, I spot an Italian restaurant. Maybe some good food will help me think. I go inside and get a table. The waiter hands me the menu, which I peruse for a little bit. I'd like the shrimp aglio olio, some mushroom soup, and a glass of white wine. After the waiter leaves, I get my phone and do a little browsing. Surprisingly, I see a campaign ad for Isaac Roberts. Out of curiosity, I watch it. So this is what sealed the deal. I must admit, they're really good. It's one thing to prepare a brief for your prospective client. It's another thing to have an ad ready to launch. Now somehow I understand why things happened the way they did. My food arrives, and as I slurp my first spoonful of soup and feel it warm my stomach, I think things through. How did I lose this account? I wasn't prepared enough, apparently. I thought we've covered everything and had it in the bag, but I lost. What's worse is, it's Claire Simon who beat me again. I can't erase the smug look on her face from my mind as Isaac pronounced her the winner. I may not agree with the way she does things, but I've got to give it to her. It produces the results she wants. Claire knows how to work her charm to her advantage, and as if by some kind of sorcery, the clients can never say no to her. I take a drink from my wine glass. I vow to never let my guard down and stand by while she wins ever again. Unfortunately, even after my good meal, I'm still not feeling good. I decide to call in sick and take the rest of the day off. Hopefully tomorrow will be better. After having a good sleep, I think I'm a little bit refreshed. Although I'm not yet at my 100%, I know I can function well at work. I assume by now, everyone in the office is already aware we didn't get the Isaac Roberts account. I hope they won't ask me what happened, because I don't want to go into a lengthy explanation, and I don't want to recall yesterday's events. It's a little bit weird the entire office goes quiet as soon as I arrive. The usual chatter dies down whenever I pass, and I can only hear hushed tones and whispers. Thankfully, no one said a word. I guess they didn't want to spoil my mood. I think they see me as a ticking time bomb that's bound to explode any time, and no one dared to be the cause of the detonation. I start to work and focus all my attention on the other clients we have. After all, there is still a lot of work that needs to be done, and we need to prove to them they chose excellently when they picked Line Ad Agency. I'm busy answering emails when I hear heels clicking. I look up and see Divine. "My office." "Now," she says before she walks away. I follow immediately. I take a seat in front of the desk inside Divine's office, not saying a word. I wait for her to start. "Before I say anything, I want to remind you I see you as a brother, John. So I'm doing this because I care," she says. I nod but don't look at her. "Come on, John. I know you're better than this. You need to pull yourself together. It's not the end of the world." "I know that," I murmur. "Would you like to tell me what happened?" she asks. I take a deep breath before answering. "I can't pinpoint it," I explain. But it seemed Claire and Isaac knew each other. They seemed comfortable with one another. Then RB Works was one step ahead of everyone. They already got a campaign ready to launch within seconds of the announcement they got the account, I add. Divine shakes her head. "That's a bold move on their part. It's a great risk, but it looked like it paid off," she comments. "Anyway, the reason I called you here is to talk some sense into your head. Let go of the Isaac Roberts loss. That's how our work goes. You've already acquired one of the best clients when you got Petroleum Company to sign us. I suggest you focus on that instead." I understand, I reply. But you can't blame me if this makes me more determined to defeat my rival, Claire. Oh, I'm counting on you to do exactly that, Divine smirks.
Chapter 6. Claire. How long has it been since I trampled over my competitor's dream of working with Isaac Roberts? I'm not sure anymore because I just can't stop sealing deals. Not to brag, but I don't know when this company will get tired of celebrating my wins. Every day is a competition in this industry, and that's what I love most. Everyone close to me knows that, so I guess I'll be living a life of competing and winning. I can't help it. I'm just too passionate. How's the month-long celebration going? Lizzie, a coworker, comes over to my desk and hands me a folder. I check out the papers inside and thank her. After I place the files in my drawer, I drag my office chair back to my desk. What do you mean? I ask, quickly checking my calendar to finally see the dates. It's been a month now? Yes, Simon. Lizzie smiles and leans over my desk. And people are still congratulating you like it was just yesterday. I shrugged the embarrassment off and asked Lizzie about her perm instead. We chat for a bit, and then she remembers she's supposed to be working. Oh, right. The Robert Bauer wants to talk to you. Right now? I ask with a little panic in my voice. Of course, I know I didn't do anything wrong, but talking with the CEO always freaks me out a bit. It's like being called to the principal's office. He must be excited to congratulate you for the 100th time. Lizzie nods. I thank her once again before she walks back to her station. I turn to my mirror and fix my hair first. Lizzie's perm makes me want to do something with my long black hair. It's not a priority, but a little change won't hurt. I deserve to pamper myself every once in a while, too. I straighten the collars of my baby pink dress. Then I take deep breaths and start walking through the office to reach Mr. Bauer's door. Gently, I knock and greet him good morning. Come in. Mr. Bauer's raspy voice rings from the inside. I push the door open and smile like I'm not shaking with nervousness and excitement inside. Could this be another project? Ah, Claire Simon. Mr. Bauer cheers, raising his arms as if he hasn't seen me in a long time. His receding hairline isn't too evident today, and I start wondering what he could have done. I push away my thoughts and focus on the look in his eyes instead. He looks like he had enough sleep last night, and I see a little sparkle. I'm about to hear good news. My excitement completely devours my nervousness. I don't think I've congratulated you enough. Mr. Bauer motions to offer me the seat in front of his desk. I laugh and tell him he already has and ask him how he's been. It's funny how he reminds me of proud grandfathers who can't stop praising their grandchildren. Well, I wanted to hear how you killed that competition, Claire, he says. He laces his fingers together, looking straight into my eyes. I need reminders of how far RB Works can still go. He really is a grandfather, I think to myself. A very proud grandfather. I start telling him how I met with Isaac Roberts beforehand, establishing connection and trust. I say it had been easy from there, and the day of the competition was really just a confirmation for me. Mr. Bauer lets out a hearty laugh and claps his hands. I am incredibly proud of you, he chimes and shakes his head. You are unbelievable, Claire. Thank you for your trust, Mr. Bauer, I humbly tell him. It's an honor to work with you. Mr. Bauer asks me about my other ongoing projects, and then I leave to continue my work. After I schedule one last meeting with a new client, I'll be off to meet with Isaac Roberts again. God, there's nothing in this world I love more than my job. Good day, everyone. Mr. Bauer's voice echoes inside the office, and everyone at RB Works jolts in surprise. It takes a few minutes before we start to greet him back, and he claps his hands and laughs. He's such a happy man. I would just like to remind you our 3-day team building will be in a few days. He continues. I hear some people grunting and gasping, confirming they've forgotten about it. As for me, I've had it noted on my calendar for weeks. I'm looking forward to it, that's for sure. I've been working nonstop for months now, and this is my chance to take a breather. I'm in love with my job, but a quick rest won't hurt. All advertising agencies in New York will gather to celebrate the successes of our industry, Mr. Bauer adds. We'll learn new things from our competitors, and above all, we'll strengthen our team's bond. Are we clear? And everyone cheers, but I just nod. I don't really know how to face my competitors when we're not in the battlefield. I can be friendly, but what do we talk about aside from work? So John Chance will be there? A woman squeals, and then others follow. I turn to my right and see Lizzie freaking out. Mr. Bauer is busy talking to the guys in front, and the women are also busy drooling over some guy. Oh my gosh, another woman screams as she jumps like crazy. We'll get to see his strong arms and rock-hard abs for 3 days? I can't help but cringe. These women are professionals, but they're losing it over John Chance? This is unbelievable. I shush them and shake my head when they turn to me. We have to build our team, girls. Oh, come on, Claire, Lizzie shrugs. It's good to build relationships with others, too. Not with our direct competitor, I reason. I can't wait to participate in the games, she continues as she ignores me, and maybe take a wrong step and fall into John Chance's arms. They squeal again, and someone finally reprimands them. The word games tingles my ears, and I suddenly feel myself perk up. There will still be a competition, and I have to beat John Chance. I don't give a damn about his figure or his handsome face these women are focusing on. He's my archenemy, and not even a 3-day team building can change that. Sure, we won't be fighting over clients, but we'll still be competing. You're sure John Chance will be there? I ask Lizzie, without the same enthusiasm she has. She giggles and nods. That's great, I mumble, smirking like a woman with an evil plan. I can't wait to beat him like I always do.
Chapter 7. John. It's finally the weekend, and we're on our way to some island for our 3-day team building. Honestly, I've been looking forward to this day. A hard-working man can crave a getaway, too. I try to not think about Isaac Roberts and that infuriating Claire Simon. For 3 days, I will be a free man, and I'll do nothing but chill. I deserve this, and I'll bounce back when I come back to New York. We've been traveling by sea for about 2 hours now. I'm standing by the deck, feeling the rush of wind and warmth of the sun. Nothing should ruin this weekend. You all right? Paul asks as he stands beside me, holding onto the railings. Damn. I can't remember the last time I woke up this early. It's 7 o'clock. I'm not sure if Paul really wakes up late for work every day or if he's just trying to have a conversation with me. Do you know where we're heading? Paul pouts and shakes his head. No idea. I guess we just have to trust the management or something. Our management told us to prepare for 3 days on a tropical island. I've no idea which island they're talking about, but I have high expectations, especially since we've been on this boat for hours now. I think we're almost there, Paul says. He takes off his sunnies and points to an island that's slowly looking bigger as we approach. Wherever the hell we are. I glance at my wristwatch and estimate we'll finally get there in half an hour. I'm glad I had time to drink coffee before meeting with the rest of the team earlier. I don't want to waste a minute of this evocation. Are you excited to meet the others? Paul asks. He just never shuts up. Imagine talking about strategies with them for 3 days straight. I can't help but turn to look at him, hoping he's joking, but he genuinely looks thrilled with a wide smile plastered on his face. I snicker and cross my arms. Really? You're going to talk about work for 3 days? Sure. Isn't that why we're here? He chimes. I click my tongue and look back to the horizon. It's an honor to work with Paul, but sometimes I feel like he needs a lot of help. Look, Paul, do me a favor, I continue. I know we'll be there with our competitors, but try not to talk about work. So, what do we talk about? I can't believe he really thinks we're staying on an island to work. I don't know. Get to know them. Ask their favorite color or something. Paul falls silent. I can hear his confusion even with the wind blowing hard against us. 15 more minutes. Are you going to ask Claire about her favorite color too? Paul looks at me and I jolt upon hearing the devil's name. Suddenly I'm enraged. Damn it. Right. Claire will be there. I heard the guys talking about her a few days ago. Great. Now my vacation is ruined. Paul continues blabbering, but I'm not listening to him anymore. I'm thinking of how I can get back at Claire for snatching the Isaac Roberts account. We won't be working during the long weekend, but I still have to beat her at something. I feel Paul hit my arm and he rushes away. I realize we've already reached the island, and I marvel at the white sand and turquoise water. My team is cheering, waving at the people holding their drinks and waiting by the shore. Am I in paradise? This is even better than Bora Bora. I spot huts labeled with different ad agencies, and I get fired up when I read RB Works. Now I'm torn between making the most of this team building and crushing Claire Simon's spirit. Paul calls for me, and I follow him. We grab our stuff and carefully get off the boat. The sound of the waves is soothing, but I can't stop thinking about revenge. This getaway doesn't have to be ruined. I can make it the best one by making Claire's time here hell. More ad agencies arrive and our team settles in our hut. Divine is already hanging out with the other bosses, and even Paul is talking to a group of unfamiliar guys. I'm dying to know the program of this stupid event so I can get on with my plan. After about half an hour, the event organizer instructs us to gather in the island pavilion. It's chaotic and loud, but everyone seems to be having fun. Our team stays close together, greeting everyone around. One by one, the organizer introduces the participating ad agencies. Everyone's screaming, but my thoughts are louder. I stomp my foot, impatient for the announcement of activities. Of course. What better way to get closer with your team than winning games? The host asks, and the crowd cheers. There it is. My first chance. Today we have a couple of games lined up, the host continues. I know we're supposed to take a break from competitions, but let's focus on teamwork, all right? No way. Wherever Claire Simon is, competition follows. I'll show her just how my team is better than hers. How I am better than her. Hey, Paul tiptoes a bit to whisper to me. There's your favorite girl. My eyes search through the crowd, trying to see where Paul is pointing at. Mike Deans, an unfamiliar woman. Robert Bauer, another unfamiliar face. And there she is, Claire Simon, standing beside her CEO with her clear, dark skin and long, black hair. She's wearing a white floral sleeveless dress and white sandals. God, she's so pesky. She's smiling like everything in her life is perfect. She cheers, claps, and hypes her team up. I feel sick just by standing 30 feet away from her. Ready for the first game? Paul hits my chest. All teams are listening to the instructions, and mine is already discussing our game plan. I take a deep breath as I get my last look at Claire. Once I'm in the zone, she's going down. I crack my neck with a mischievous smirk on my face, and then breathe out. I turn to my team and say, let's get it on.
Chapter 8. Claire. This 3-day team building organized by CEOs of different ad agencies all over New York aims to reinforce teamwork, the host says. Her lips touches the microphone as she speaks, and I can't help but cringe inside. Let's be festive as we promote healthy competition. Behind me, Lizzie and her John Chance fans club are whispering to each other. I know John Chance might be somewhere in front of us, but he's not worth my time. Perhaps he's already burning with annoyance right now, but I will just be here, unbothered and confident, Right now, I feel like a wolf surrounded by a herd of sheep. The pavilion is packed and everyone is roaring. I'm here to beat John Chance even outside the battlefield, but I won't make it obvious. I want him to suffer even when I'm not doing anything. Yet. He looks so good in his polo, I overhear Lizzie. I hope we have games where we'll be teamed with him. I want to run my fingers through his dirty blonde hair, another woman mumbles. Do you think he's single? I hope he is, Lizzie answers. Oh, I want to fall into his strong arms. The host keeps blabbing about camaraderie and teamwork, and I can already feel my smile fading. These thirsty women are getting on my nerves. I turn to look at them, and they jolt in surprise. Lizzie's eyes widen as she looks into mine. I smirk, trying my best not to make it obvious I'm fuming. We're here to win, not to flirt. Do you mind? I ask politely, but with a little bit of threat. The host is about to announce the games, and I don't want to miss a thing. My plans can't be ruined. Sorry, Lizzie mutters with a fake smile. She looks at her click and clears her throat. Oh, she's announcing the games. I take one last look at Lizzie, hoping she'll get the warning. If I ever hear her and her little group squealing about John Chance one more time, I'll lose it. I look back to the host and focus on what she's saying. First, we have charades. RB Work starts assigning players, and even our CEO is volunteering. I don't know how to tell him we can't have him play. He's a bit too old to comprehend games. 100-meter dash, guess the picture. Multiple lot auction game, the host continues. And lastly, musical chairs. That's it? From the looks of it, RB Works has the perfect players for every game. This is going to be easy. All right, I turn to gather my colleagues. Let me take over. Mr. Bauer claps like the proud grandfather he is. Our team huddles, and I start mentioning names. The goal is to win every game. Got that? Yes, my colleagues yell. I nod at them with pride and get ready to introduce our players for charades. When the host calls our agency, I walk to the game floor with Lizzie and our other teammates. Women start screaming when line ad gets called. I guess John Chance is playing too. I'm fired up, but again, I'm not laying my eyes on him. Watch me bring your team down, I think to myself. I can feel him looking at me, but I don't budge. You can keep trying, but I'll never settle for second best. The first game starts, and RB Works plays like the other agencies don't exist. My team doesn't waste a single minute. We don't care about the other scores or what. We just play like the winners. Congratulations, RB Works, the host announces, and our team cheers. We walk back to the rest of our group, and Mr. Bauer tells us how proud he is. 1 game down, 4 more to go. For the 100-meter dash, our team selects the most athletic members. I won't run in this beautiful dress, so I took the liberty to coach the team. No girls scream when line ad is called, so maybe John Chance isn't playing too. He must be copying me. We leave the pavilion to where the organizers have set up each game. My 3 runners scream as the host tells them to get ready. When she says, go, the players run as if their lives depend on it. RB Works does it again, the host announces. And congratulations, Line Ad Agency, for bagging second place. I roll my eyes upon hearing second place. That's what John Chance will always be, and I hope he already knows so. We move on to the 3rd game and then to the 4th. RB Works places second in both games, and I can't deny it anymore. I'm pissed. What's going on? I ask my team. Why are we falling behind? It's okay, Claire, Lizzie tells me. We won the first 2, and we still have 1 more game. I said we'll win every game, I hiss. Okay now, Mr. Bauer interrupts us with a joyful tone in his voice. Line Ad won half of the games. Good for them. I breathe in and out to calm myself down. I shouldn't snap at my colleagues for these stupid games, but my ego just can't take it. I can't believe John Chance gets to be first twice. "Let's focus on the final game, okay?" Mr. Bauer adds. "Now, who's playing?" "It's a tie between RB Works and Line Ad Agency," the host says over the microphone. "How exciting." "For the last game, we have musical chairs," she continues. She explains the mechanics, and I listen to every word. Every team has to gather as many chairs as they can while the music is playing. I start thinking of names, imagining how we can beat this one. The chairs are scattered all over the island, so it's going to be a challenge. John Chance can't win this one. "Lastly, we need one representative per agency," the host says. I quickly turn to look at John Chance from across the venue, and his eyes meet mine. It's like a fist fight, but with our looks, and I bet my team can feel the tension between us. "Claire," Mr. Bauer calls. "Are you up for it?" John Chance doesn't take his eyes off mine, and I can hear his ugly voice provoking me. He's challenging me quietly, and there's no way I'm backing out. I hate this guy more than anything in this world. "Get me a pair of cycling shorts and a top from my bag," I instruct my team, staring at John Chance with my piercing eyes. If my teammates can't do this, I will. Lizzie hands me my clothes, and I run to the nearest room to change. When I go back outside, RB Works starts cheering, and I tell the host we're ready. Let's win this.
Chapter 9. John. Changing into cyclings, huh? I rant as I stomp into an area with 4 steel chairs dangling on my shoulder. As if that's going to make a difference. My feet hurt, but I can't feel much because of the adrenaline rush. The steel folding chairs are heavy, but I'll carry everything I can. I want Claire Simon to feel humiliated when the hour is done. There are 38 chairs hidden within the island, I remember the host explaining. Her lips touched the microphone, and she wasn't even that comprehensible. For an hour we'll be playing music, and you'll have to look for as many chairs as you can. After an hour, the music will stop, and you'll have to go back to the pavilion, she continued. The player with the most chairs wins. Paul was ready to play for our team, but I knew what I had to do when I saw Claire shot me a look. I think the rest of the group felt it, so they assigned me to the last game. We didn't even need to discuss further. Whatever you wear, Claire, I muttered to myself, you're still going to lose. Seriously, who does she think she is? She acts like she's everyone's boss. Everything she does pisses me off. Why do we even have to have this stupid team building? There's no such thing as friendly competition. Just you wait, Claire Simon. I'm going to show you who the boss is. I head to the far side of the island and realize nobody else is here. The others are probably looking in the obvious areas. Not me, though. I'm obviously not like the rest. And I already have 4 out of 38 chairs. I bet the others only have 1 each. Claire probably doesn't even have one. Damn it! I yell. How the hell did they hide the chairs? The organizers really made an effort to use up all the areas of this island, huh? I hate that they hid the chairs so well, but then it wouldn't be challenging if they were easy to find. I just really have to keep going. I'm not sure how long it has already been, but I need to find at least 1 more chair. If I find 2, all the better. I can't wait to see the look of defeat on Claire's face. I walk past giant trees, looking around them carefully. It feels like an endless stretch of greenery, and I hope I won't get lost. I can still hear the music, so I know I still have time. Looking ahead, I notice something behind the twisted trunk of a tree. When I realize it's steel with wood, I dash to confirm if it's a chair. I get more excited as I get even closer. Jackpot! I scream when I'm finally sure it's my 5th chair. Suddenly I hear footsteps, and I stop in my tracks. And then I see the devil. Claire, in her purple top, emerges from the trees. She's sweating and catching her breath, She's got her eyes locked on the chair. When she sees me, she freezes. We stare at each other for what feels like a lifetime. My heart stops and I go tense. She's also holding 4 chairs. Claire makes a run for it, but I'm also using all my strength to catch up in a split second. Am I even still breathing? I don't care. I have to get to the chair before she does. I don't take my eyes off the chair, but I realize there's no more ground when I look beyond the twisted trunk. If I don't change my speed, I'm surely going to fall over the cliff. I quickly look at Claire and feel the fear when I realize she's going too fast. Stop! I scream at her. I'm panicking, and I can't even stop running myself. At this point, I'm not running for the chair anymore. Is it possible to stop Claire? She's running much faster than I am. I don't think she realizes we're both going for the cliff yet. Claire, stop! I scream, letting go of the chairs from my shoulders. Shut up, John! Claire yells back. Look at this monster. I'm trying to save her, and she's telling me to shut up. We're in great danger, and it's not the time to be egotistic. Claire is about 5 steps from the tree. She has reduced her speed, but I think it's too late. She flails her arms, and I assume she's already seen it was a blind spot. Stop now! I give it one last try. I watch her as she still reaches out for the chair. Holding my breath, I look at her feet to see if she's got a grip. She holds the chair, but she slips. I'm finally behind her, and I snatch the chair from her hand. I grab her elbow, pulling her away from the edge. But we both lose our balance. Her feet slip further, and I can't carry her weight with a steel folding chair on my other hand. Claire screams, "No!" I feel my feet slip too, and we both fall to the ground. I don't let her go, so we both skid down into the crevice. Rocks hit me as I slide nonstop, and I can't even keep my eyes open. All kinds of pain hit my body. I tumble, bounce, and roll. Where does this cliff end? I'm falling too fast, and I can't hold Claire anymore. On moments when I open my eyes, I see her falling as well. It's horrifying how there's nothing I can do to help her. How many rocks have I already hit? And is the music still playing? Somebody help us. I tumble, bounce, and roll. I don't even have the strength to grab anything anymore. Where are we headed? I'm still breathing at least. And I still have my senses. Shouldn't be that bad, right? And then everything goes black.
Chapter 10. Claire. Am I alive? Or am I just dreaming right now? I'm not sure if it's dark or I just have my eyes closed. I smell the earth and I feel some tingling on my skin. I think I'm lying on my stomach. The ground is bumpy and hard. I try to remember where I am and what I was doing. Island, team building, chairs. I think to myself. 5th chair and John Chance. How did I end up wherever I am? And why does my body hurt? Am I dead? I hear a painful groan, and I immediately open my eyes. I see trees, rocks, and light. I am alive. But where am I? And what happened? The groaning gets louder, and I carefully move my head to see where it's coming from. I'm in some shady area of some forest. I'm baffled, and I'm in so much pain. I turn to my left and see John leaning against a big rock, clasping his right leg. "John?" I call out. He answers with another groan, and I see on his face he's hurting. I dart to him without even brushing the dirt off my clothes. I kneel down beside him and see the wound on his right leg. It looks like it's been slashed by something, and blood is coming out. I hold his right shoulder and tell him he's going to be all right. Is he, though? He's badly injured and we're in the middle of nowhere, but I don't show him I'm panicking. "Let's cover this up, all right?" I tell him. I check my shirt and look for the part that's least dirty. I tear it and quickly apply pressure to John's injured leg. "Just hang in there," I calm John down as he grunts and jostles. The look on his face makes me feel bad, but I have no choice. What else can I do? When I'm done bandaging his wound, I wait for him to breathe normally again. He's got his eyes closed the whole time, and I wish he'd just fall asleep. I don't know what else I can do to stop his pain. I keep my hand on his shoulder, just to reassure him he's not alone. As he calms down, I look around to figure out where we are exactly. I look up and see a high slope towering both of us. Yeah, right, I mutter in disbelief. Did we really had a mighty long fall? It looks like a mountain. Wait for me, okay? I whisper to John. I'm going to get some help. As I walk farther from the shade, I recall how John and I aimed for the same chair. I remember him screaming at me to stop, but I didn't listen to him. I didn't realize I was heading for a blind spot. I still tried to grab the chair, but I slipped. It was too late, and I didn't think John was actually trying to save me. Help! I scream at the top of my lungs. Looking up again, I hope some person will show up and see me. I think my heart just stopped beating. I feel like I've been beaten to death, but I can't just sit and succumb to the pain. I have to get out of this forsaken place. Somebody help us. I can only hear the echo of my own voice. I'm not even sure if my voice could reach above the crevice. I don't want to die here. I walk back to where John is and see he has fallen asleep. His grip on his right leg has relaxed, but I can still see the pain on his face. I can't believe this is really happening. I can't die here, I mumble, trying not to wake John up. I don't think I can take any more of his groans. Not here, not now. I walk around and see the chair John and I had snatched from each other. It's broken, and I just want to stomp on it until it turns into nothing. If not for this stupid chair, I'd still be up there safe and sound. I'm so confused and tired. I'm with someone badly injured. I'm with John Chance. I kick the ground and a vine swings as the stones hit it. I stare at its tip, slowly following it up, and see it's actually long. I walk toward it and try to pull. Thank heavens. I sigh as I feel how strong the vine is. I think of how I can use it to latch on to something. I tug and tug until the vine breaks from the top, and then I tie it onto the broken backrest of the chair. I make sure it's tied tightly before I carry the wood and head to the foot of the slope. The top is far too high, but I can try to climb my way up. When I get back there, I'll ask for help, and then they could go for John. I throw the piece of wood with all my might, but it fails to latch on to the branch. I watch as the wood stumbles down back to me, and I catch it. I throw it around again and again. Damn it, I say under my breath. How is this so hard? It just has to reach some branch or something. Come on, I ramble as I throw it up for the nth time. My hand starts to itch because of the vine. I catch the piece of wood again and take a deep, deep breath. I look up one more time and lock my eyes on a specific branch. I throw my arm back and firmly throw it up. The piece of wood flies in the air and finally hangs onto the branch. My heart skips a beat. I untangle the vine and pull it to see if it's safe to use to climb up. The chair nudges a bit, but I still continue with the plan. I place my foot on the end of the slope and grab the vine. Snap! The branch breaks, and the chair flies down once again. I lose my balance and fall to my back. Ow! I yell as I hunch forward to numb the pain. I stop breathing for a while. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, John wakes up and starts groaning again. The pain in his voice travels carefully into my ears, stinging my senses and punishing me. I don't want to die here. Help, John mumbles weakly. Help.
Chapter 11. John. I lay on the cave's cold floor, watching the light from the sky slowly change its color from light blue to a spread of red, orange, and purple hues. My injured leg prevents me from thinking of a way out in this hellhole. God, how many hours has it been? I just wish Paul would start to notice my absence, or perhaps someone in our respective groups could at least realize we've been gone far too long. How could this even happen to me right now? Since when have I become reckless? Inspecting the walls, I realize there's literally nothing for a living creature to hold on to and use to climb all the way up. Her efforts to use the vine are useless. To make matters worse, I'm badly injured. The pain on my leg throbs like hell, forbidding me to move. Will I be able to get out of this situation? Damn it. How can I even escape this? What if nobody notices either of us? Okay, relax, John. Breathe. I'm sure someone in the team will begin to see I'm missing. Help is probably on the way any minute now. I slowly try to shift my body to seek a more comfortable posture. Panic-stricken Claire starts tapping on the ground with her feet. She pulls her hair in slight irritation. Although I'm not sure if she's doing that because she detests being with me, or has she gone totally insane. I sure hope she won't start screaming again. Looking at her now makes me want to pity her, yet despise her for putting me in this position. This makes me feel weird. Should I try talking to her? Hey, I begin, but she just sits in the dark corner with no response. I have no time for this. Hey, are you mute or what? She glares at me and turns the other way. Well, fine. Have it your way then. There's nothing much for me to do apart from staring blankly at the skies. The fall had me thinking. Who in their right mind would consider putting the chair behind that tree? The chair stands less than 2 feet away from the cliff. It doesn't take a genius to anticipate an accident. What a carefully well-thought plan. We're endlessly sitting in silence and it's driving me crazy. I'm in desperate need of water, proper medical intervention, and another human being other than her. My swollen leg immobilizes me to even think of a contingency plan for this whole ordeal. Sigh. The cool air from above sinks down to us. My leg starts to throb again. I lightly touch my knees, trying to find some relief. Claire stands and looks up. She feels the cave's wall with her hands, as if she was searching for something. Of course, she's been yelling earlier. Perhaps she is going mad. "Help!" Claire shouts. My brows furrow as I listen to her voice playing like a broken record. Where is she getting all that energy from? "Can anyone hear me? Please help!" Her voice getting louder. "Save me, please. Can anyone hear me?" I try my best to ignore her and close my eyes, but she's been saying the same phrase over and over again. Her voice annoys me. No, she annoys me. "Help, please." "Would you stop it already?" I interrupt, my eyes wide. She shoots me a scowl. "Can't you see I'm in pain? Shouting only worsens it." "What the hell do you think I'm supposed to do, huh? I can't die here," she exclaims. What a drama queen. "No one is dying, okay? Who wouldn't notice us missing anyway?" I say, and begin to close my eyes again. "It's been hours, you idiot." The music has stopped, but no one seems to know we're gone. The last thing I'd allow myself to be in such a situation is being stuck with the likes of you. She snaps back. How dare this woman yell back at me? We continue to bicker and argue, debating whether someone will find us or not. She just doesn't know when to stop talking. Losing hope, I laugh at her protests and shake my head in disbelief. "You think this is funny, John Chance?" "Right. Everything that's happening right now seems like a laughing matter to you. At least, I won over Isaac Roberts' campaign." She whispers the last statement with a sarcastic tone. The way she talks rings inside my ears, shooting flares of temper. "No, Miss Simon, I find you funny, because in this situation, a smart person should reserve their remaining strength and shut their mouth, while you, on the other hand, do the opposite." She turns to me with a look of confusion. I notice her eyes flicker in bewilderment. For a moment, a sense of guilt hits me. The hell I care. Besides, this is your fault. If you'd only let me take that goddamn chair, this wouldn't have happened, she hisses. My fault? I forced myself to talk as I could feel my throat drying up and my lips chapped. And you still think this is a competition? Stop acting childish because we're no longer playing the game. You can't turn everything into a competition. You're one to talk, Mr. Chance. I tended to your injury, and this is how you repay me? I'd rather die in pain than accept help from you. What a pretentious prick. She rolls her eyes and goes back to the corner to sit. Do you think you'd survive another second in this cave if someone didn't fall with you? In case you haven't noticed, you've been tapping your feet. The anxiety is killing you. Just spit it out and admit you're afraid. Screw you, John! I'm not afraid! She screams and her eyes start to water. Well, screw you too! I scream back at her in frustration. The next few minutes, Claire remains quiet. I reckon my words finally reach her. Regardless, we're still in a very difficult situation. The pain starts to subside, but I suddenly sense a chill radiating over me. Look, we're no longer competing. Fighting won't solve anything. I break the silence, attempting to lighten up the atmosphere. I'm not competitive, she answers softly. The resigned look on her face and the sound of exasperation in her voice is proof she's at her limit. Finally.
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vic Savon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please, help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and now back to your book.
Chapter 12. Claire. As the night falls, we're still stuck here in the cave. John Chance doesn't seem to understand no one will be able to find us if we stop calling for help. I'm running out of energy, and being with my arch enemy absolutely gives me the chills. What other options do I have left? Doing nothing is a waste of time. Breathing the same air with him in this God-forsaken cave triggers an unwanted feeling of claustrophobia. After a long, awkward silence, I managed to keep myself preoccupied by staring at the beautiful moon, giving us just enough light to illuminate the cave. John moves his body to reposition every now and then. I hope I'd done a good job at giving him a little bit of first aid. Unexpectedly, I hear him sing a low tune. The odd song emits an ambience of curiosity. Strangely, it soothes my erratic nerves. "What are you humming?" I gently whisper. John stops and turns to me with a pleasant smile on his face. Then he asks, "Want to know a story?" I shrug. Ignoring my reaction, he continues, "Believe me or not, I used to be bullied when I was a kid." "Really?" I smirk at him. Judging by his demeanor, he appears to be composed. "Seriously, you're not making this up, are you?" "Nope, not one bit." He pauses for a second, clears his throat, and then proceeds. "Long story short, my mother hums that lullaby to calm me until I fall asleep. It just sounds so peaceful, yet peculiar. She says it originated from Russia." "So, what's the name of the song?" I ask, fully interested. John didn't reply right away. Instead, he sits up, drags himself away from the rock, and leans on the cave's wall. "John?" "Yeah?" "Oh, sorry. Well, the song is called Tilly Tilly Bomb, or Creeping in English." He continues. "The name doesn't sit well with me, but it hauntingly fits the tune." "I know, it's very unusual." He grins at me, and the more I'm able to properly look at him, the more I appreciate how good-looking he actually is. Now I'm beginning to understand Lizzie and the others. "It is?" I politely offer a smile. "Do you feel better now?" he interjects with concern. "I guess." I nod in confirmation, and another wave of awkward silence follows. He scratches his head and checks on his injury. Come to think of it, he hasn't complained about his leg. How is he even able to keep up with the pain? "Want to know another story?" John offers. "Fine. It's better than arguing." "Isn't it?" I joke. Was that a rhetorical question? He gives a short laugh. Then he carries on narrating a story about seasoned hikers exploring the Appalachian trails. John says the reason some of these hikers go missing and later found dead may scientifically be explained. He mentions a condition called AMS, or acute mountain sickness. The life-threatening symptoms can be as dangerous as having an aneurysm. John shares a few medical terms. It impresses me how he's come to know them. Do you think the fight we had earlier is caused by AMS? You know, the condition can cause hallucination in some cases. John languidly stutters. But we're not on the mountains, I remind him, and he concurs. Do you think we can take AMS as an excuse for falling down right into the cave? We're definitely going to be the talk of the town. It'd be ridiculous to let them know we fought over a stupid chair. His eyes blink rapidly, and his voice raspy. I can tell he's worn out. I bet this will be a headline when we get back, I chuckle. Ha, it's finally good to see you laugh, he comments with a pleased smile. I pause for a second. Hearing this makes me feel bad for wasting most of our time arguing instead of planning a way out. Sorry about earlier, I apologize. Me too, he mutters. All right, let's start fresh. It's not too late. We can still find a way out of this. Let's forget about being rivals for the night. What do you think? I optimistically announce. But he doesn't budge nor say anything. John, I call out, but he seems to be in a deep sleep. I walk closer to him. John, are you okay? No answer. Hey, did you just fall asleep on me? Guess he's dozing off now. Seeing the rise and fall of his chest, he appears to be really sleeping. Suspicious of his behavior, I bent toward him and put my hand over his forehead. I instantly pull back. He's burning up. John, wake up! I start to panic. Grabbing him by the shoulders, I try to keep him awake. Unfortunately, he remains unresponsive. John, don't do this to me. Come on, wake up. Slightly opening his eyes, he peers at me weakly. My heart plummets as the fear begins to consume me. By violently shaking him, he manages to regain consciousness, but it doesn't last. What am I going to do? The terrifying sight of John's current condition makes me want to vomit. I bolt up and pace around the hollow cave, holding my arms around me as my entire body trembles. I tell myself everything is going to be okay, but who am I kidding? I cry, screaming for help and wailing in despair. I lost count of how many times I fell down as I scramble my way up. I only pause because my hands begin to sore. Tears continue to pour down my cheeks as I hammer my fists onto the hard wall, pleading for our rescue. In the end, my legs and arms give up. I crawl back to where John rests. Carefully supporting his head on my lap, I look at the bright moon in defeat. I laugh and bawl at the same time. Ironically, I sit here while my rival fades into oblivion. Yet, I find it bizarre the last thing I'm able to do is hear myself whistle the tune John hummed not too long ago.
Chapter 13. John. I sip the coffee outside the cafe, watching each person passing by. The sun warms my skin and the heat energizes me. Enjoying my hot coffee, I sense a foreboding terror somewhere. Darkness surrounds as the light progressively diminishes. Every single person walking by instantly disappears. The cup of coffee was no longer in my hand, but the warmth lingers. In fact, everything completely vanished. The long stretch of nothingness is right ahead of me. Feeling lost, I grow weary as I briskly walk around, trapped in a circle. John, wake up! A familiar voice sobs. Wake up, please wake up! What's going on? I look around, but all I see is blackness. The voice continues to call for my name, and I could feel my hands sweat. John, you have to wake up! Wait, is that... Claire? Is that you? Where are you? I shout back. Her voice seems omnipresent. I have no idea where she could be. Running senselessly in every direction, I continue to call her. However, she doesn't seem to hear me. I'm right here. She suddenly appears a few feet away, wearing white, motioning for me to come. Sprinting toward her, I suddenly fall down in the abyss itself, watching her stretch out her hand to me. My eyes open as I sit upright, immediately noticing the cast on my right leg. It was just a dream. I look around and see the nurse holding the IV line, gazing at me in surprise. She staggers to the door, calling for the doctor. The doctor arrives and he informs me I'm currently in St. Patrick's Hospital back in New York. He then proceeds to drag the pen light horizontally mid-air, observing my eyes while asking me questions. Instructing the nurse to take my vital signs, I unintentionally leave his queries unanswered. "John?" He tries to grab my attention. "How are you feeling? Do you feel pain anywhere?" Shaking my head, I respond, "No, I don't feel pain. I guess I'm okay." "Good. Do you feel dizzy or nauseous?" "No, I don't." I keep quiet while they check up on me. Hesitantly, I thought about Claire. The most I can do is hope she's safe. While the doctor is busy taking notes, I itch to find out about Claire's condition. Doctor. "Lewis," he beams a friendly smile at me. "Right. Well, Dr. Lewis, I was wondering what happened to Claire." Dr. Lewis listens intently. "Oh, you mean the young lady who was with you?" "Yes, that's right. How's she doing?" My voice cracks. "Actually, she was more than all right. Came here with minor cuts and scratches. Nothing alarming, really. As a matter of fact, she was discharged the night you were transported here," Dr. Lewis explains. That sounded off. "What do you mean by the night I was transported here? Weren't we rescued last night?" Dr. Lewis and the nurse exchange looks. Then he asks her to head back to the station to inform them of my state. As the nurse closes the door, Dr. Lewis's face turns serious. I could feel the pit of my stomach swivel. "John, you were rescued 4 days ago. During those days you've been sleeping, or should I say, your body needed time to heal because of the shock." Unraveling the story appears befitting given the circumstances. But you don't have to worry. I assure you you're far from danger. The details of the story feel hazy to me. Recalling the incident, I only remember bits and pieces. Surely I remember Claire desperately waking me up. And the next thing I know, I'm here at the hospital. Dr. Lewis leaves the room to let me rest. Shortly after, my older brother Jimmy barges in and gives me a welcoming hug. He informs me Divine notified him of my situation as soon as I was admitted. While talking with him, Jimmy keeps diverting the subject, keeping me from recalling the incident. I guess he doesn't want to overwhelm me with questions. My stomach yearns for food, which I can get, but I have to make sure to slow down according to Dr. Lewis. So Jimmy orders takeout from the closest fast food joint. We each consume 2 spicy deluxe burgers, a box of nuggets, fried chicken strips, and a large Diet Coke. The following day, Dr. Lewis discharges me. In spite the vigor returning, my routine tasks may temporarily be halted. A physical therapy is needed to completely restore bodily functions. Then my mind wanders off to Claire again. Had it not been for her, I would have potentially or permanently lost all consciousness. I wonder what she's up to right now. Prior to being transported from the hospital, Jimmy discusses that while I recuperate, it's best to stay at his home. When he hands me my phone, I decide turning it on can wait. As we get to Jimmy's home, 2 medical technicians assist me, while Jimmy carries my stuff. Personally, I don't think my injury was that bad. Jimmy is just a little overprotective of me. I rest on the couch and turn on my phone. I'm surprised to see it light up and flash over 25 missed calls and 40 unread text messages. Wow. As I read through the texts, my phone suddenly rings and Divine Conway's name shows up. I think I hear Jimmy say something in the kitchen about taking the call, so I swipe the answer button. "Well, someone seems to be informed," I say, putting a smile on my face. "You almost gave me a heart attack, did you know that?" Divine sternly says on the other line. "I know, and I'm sorry." "Don't be. Accidents happen. Anyway, I won't be holding you up for long. I just wanted to let you know you should take it slow. Think of it as a vacation. And when you're all set, You can come back to the office. I still have a job to return to, don't I? I ask her, honestly half worried. Of course. Everyone is thrilled as I am to have you back. Just take your time, okay? If anyone deserves a vacation, it's you. With that, I deeply express my sincerest thanks to my boss and end the call. Unable to fall asleep, I admire the moon from the bedroom window. The familiar scene reminds me of her hysterical cries. I know I owe my life to those.
Chapter 14. Claire. For the past few days of John's unchanging condition, I worry he might never wake up. Before leaving the hospital that night, I begged for the nurse to notify me of any progress. Just this morning, I received a call from her with the best news thus far. John is awake. A surge of relief washes my uneasiness. Finally, I can loosen up. I repeatedly thank the nurse for updating me, and then hang up. Those days John laid unconscious in his hospital bed makes me feel accountable. Deep inside, I know I acted immaturely while being trapped in the cave with him, possibly because I still treated him as an enemy. But I can't turn back the time, and all I can do is move forward. Gosh, I feel stupid already. During the time we were trapped inside the cave, I started humming John's odd lullaby, trying to cope up, but he unexpectedly began to convulse. I shuddered in fear, knowing we might not be able to make it out. Just as I thought of our impending doom, flashlights were shown into our faces. The search and rescue team arrived. Holding John's hand, I whispered into his ears, "Everything's going to be fine. I just can't seem to get that scene off my mind." Mr. Bowrer has been keeping tabs on me, often calling to ask how I'm doing. He insists on giving me a month-long vacation while recuperating emotionally and psychologically. Although I understand where he's coming from, I politely declined his offer. Right now, my happiness can't be contained, and I'm glad to know he's awake. Putting the rivalry aside, I could feel the weight being lifted off my shoulders. The next day, I drove myself back to the hospital to fill out papers I've missed. As I sit in the waiting area, a female voice calls out to me. "Miss Simon?" I look up to see it was the nurse who gave me an update about John's condition. She approaches me and I stand up to greet her. "Thank you about yesterday." "You're welcome." She offers me a sympathetic smile. "You must have been worried." "Yes, I am. Anyhow, I'm just delighted to hear he's awake now," I explain. "Well, what are you doing here?" "Oh, I'm just finishing up some paperwork I failed to complete." I point to my seat where the papers lay. "I see, but I take it you'll proceed to your boyfriend's therapy after this?" she asks. Hold on, did she just say boyfriend? "Excuse me, boyfriend?" I instinctively answer. "Yes, Mr. Chance's therapy? Scheduled today?" she questions, her eyebrows raised. "He's at the rehabilitation department right now. It's on the 3rd floor." Okay. Thanks for the directions." I respond and bid her goodbye. Absent-mindedly, I resume filling out the papers while thinking about what I just heard. John is here in the hospital, undergoing therapy. As soon as I finish, my feet led me to the rehabilitation department. I stand in the office area and observe John behind the glass wall, being assisted by a male physical therapist. A staff member asks if there is anything I need. After letting her know I was okay, she nods and leaves me be. Glancing back to John, I find he's already looking my way, smiling. 20 minutes later, the session ends and the male therapist opens the glass door. He tells me John wants me inside. I walk toward him and enter the room. As I take each step closer to John, my heart beats louder and louder. Seeing him okay suddenly had me crying, so I hug him tight. He returns the gesture and pats me on the back. The scene replays again in my head, and I'm just pleased to confirm he's alive and we both survived that night. Nothing much was said after embracing him. Practically, I'm at a loss for words. John didn't say anything as well, but we agreed to keep in touch. That evening, sitting on my couch, I turn up the volume. MasterChef is on. The contestants gather around in a circle, discussing the kind of hors d'oeuvres they should serve. In the middle of watching the show, my phone beeps. I open the new text message and read it was John saying hi. The weeks go by, and I carry on with work. In those weeks, John and I exchange text messages. Other times, we take turns calling. Sometime later, his doctor changed his rehab schedule from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So by the time the clock hits 5 p.m., I jump out of the office and hit the road to visit John. Subconsciously, I frequently meet up with John and support him over the course of his therapy. During this time, he and I casually talk about work like we were never known as rivals. Getting to know him wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. In fact, John is a comedian and his jokes are the craziest. He's one of the few who tickles my interests. On the last day of his therapy, John has completely recovered and uses his right leg without difficulty. We stand outside at the hospital's parking area as we wait for his brother. He offers me his hand, and as I take it, we lean on their car together. "Thank you," he says out of the blue. "What for?" I ask, genuinely surprised. "Just for being there," John replies without looking at me. Then he gazes up at the sky and adds, "Doesn't the moon remind you of our time back in the cave?" "Yeah, I agree. Thank you." "What for?" he asks me this time. "Just for being there." We both laugh as I rest my head on his shoulder. Both of us stay quiet while appreciating the night sky. It feels amazing to overcome an adversary. But the truth is, John Chance is the person who's making my heart flutter.
Chapter 15. John. I enter the office and felt everyone's genuine concern for my well-being. Taking the opportunity, I thank them for the get-well-soon cards and gifts. Paul disperses the crowd and warns the others not to flock at me for the time being. "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's all get back to work," and Paul turns to me saying, "We have some catching up to do." Paul and I head to the pantry to grab coffee. We sit on the vacant chairs closest to the window. Holding the mug, the heat emanating from the hot coffee is giving me a sensation of déjà vu. Honestly, we've been dying to know what happened. Divine didn't really tell us anything, other than you being trapped in the cave with Claire Simon. Paul sips his coffee, eyeing me with interest. Without leaving any stone unturned, I recount the details of the incident. He listens closely and asks me follow-up questions, which I answer. Of course, I don't disclose anything particular happening between Claire and me. Paul redirects the subject to my therapy sessions. I explain it only lasted for 2 weeks, but Divine was adamant about giving me another week of full rest. "We're glad you're here. It's good to have you back, John." We continue to talk until we finish our coffees. Just as we were about to go back, I hear the clicking of stiletto heels in the hallway. Divine shows up with that older sister look, which could only mean she's pissed. Paul abruptly stands up and tells her to save whatever she's about to say for the quick meeting. No one told me about a quick meeting. Meetings with Divine are never quick. She hates it, and hearing Paul say that makes it even more suspicious. Regardless, he gives me a last-minute orientation. We walk inside the meeting room and Divine exhales a breath of annoyance. "God, I can't take it anymore," she says out loud, looking at me. "We're going to have a meeting with the team who was responsible for the accident." This caught me by surprise. "What do you mean?" I turn sideways, demanding to hear answers. "Right now? Is that the agenda for this meeting?" "Yes, it is," Paul nods. "Divine unleashed hell the night the search and rescue team found you." Divine raises her hands up. "Who wouldn't be? You've been gone for hours. If it weren't for the people at RB Works, we wouldn't have noticed you were gone too." "All right, but please calm down. I'm sure it was unintentional. I presume." The phone in front of us starts to flash, indicating an incoming call. Paul pushes the hands-free button and talks to a woman on the other line. We were then patched to another line and the meeting commences. Divine's fiery mood and remarks silences the committee who was behind the planning of the event's games, particularly the musical chairs game. Jameson Young, the leader of the committee, expresses regret. As a leader, I failed to oversee things. Truly, we didn't imagine things would turn out badly. Had we been more careful, this wouldn't have happened. He pauses. Mr. John Chance, I will take full responsibility for the incident. Should there be consequences, I will gladly accept the punishment I deserve, Jameson says apologetically. Divine peers at me as if waiting for me to give them an earful, while Paul lowers his head down, expecting a commotion. Mr. Young, you're right. This wouldn't have happened if only you and your team had been more careful, I begin. But we all learn from our mistakes, and from mistakes we shall learn. Although I don't believe you should be punished. Rather, let's just take this time to reflect on our actions and avoid being complacent. I could hear Jameson Yang sniffling on the other line, and Divine ceases to protest. Paul thanks them, and the meeting ended right there. Before returning to my cubicle, Divine comments on my approach ensuing the meeting, noticing a change. Huh? For the past few days, people have been commenting they'd often see me talking to someone quietly on the phone, or they'd find me smiling while texting. Now that I think about it, no one talks much about Claire or our rivalry anymore. Lately, Claire and I have been in constant communication. I would end up sleeping late from our fascinating discussions. She'd wait for me somewhere close to where I work, and we'd have lunch together. And when she'd stay late at work, I would nestle myself in a coffee shop right across their office building and wait for her to come out. On this cloudy afternoon, my watch reads 5:15 p.m. Claire sends me a private message through Snapchat, letting me know she'll be off in a few. We converse through online messaging for 8 more minutes, deciding where we should go next. Grill and chill, she messages. I start typing on my phone. Where the hell is that? Is it new? Not sure. Just heard about it from a friend. I stare at my screen, arguing whether it was a go or a no. Then my phone pings. Well, come on, it's just dinner. Don't need to dwell on it that much. Just dinner. I read the message to myself. This woman doesn't get it. Smiling to myself, I reply, Okay, milady, let's give that a try. Claire responds with a flying kiss emoji and adds, See you in a bit. I shake my head, mystified at the stage of our relationship. Are we dating? Or are we just goofing around? While waiting, I decide to stand outside the coffee shop, putting a cap on to disguise myself from her colleagues. The cool air brushes my cheeks, and I put my hands inside my pockets to keep them warm. A minute passes, and Claire exits the building wearing a beige coat and a maroon sweater draped over her neck. Look at this gorgeous woman. Watching her come closer is giving me all sorts of emotions. Now I come into terms I'm beginning to have deeper feelings for her. Previously, we got off on the wrong foot. Once I've gotten to know Claire, I found out she's very easygoing, and her spontaneity captures me in a headlock. However, I fear one day, due to her spontaneity, she might as well spontaneously end whatever it is we have now.
Chapter 16. Claire. It only dawns on me something is seriously wrong when my eyes happen to catch a glimpse of my clock. I've been talking to John for 5 hours now about something as inconsequential as exotic toppings on a pizza. If it wasn't for this coincidence, the conversation would go on until I'm too sleepy to continue, as it has for the last 3 months. Has it really been 3 months? I didn't even realize until I've been sacrificing my sleep schedule for late-night talks with John Chance, of all people. Are you still there? His voice is raspier than usual, unaware of my internal dilemma. Don't tell me you've never tried calamari and mayo on a pizza. It's the dead of night, but he still sounds like he has a lot of energy to spare. I know for a fact he needs to get up around the same time as me. This can only mean one thing. He enjoys these late-night phone calls so much he's willing to go to work without being in top form. That suggests an emotional attachment, something that can bring us a whole lot of problems. After all, we are, and always have been, rivals from two companies gunning for the top. Claire, the softness of his tone brings shivers down my spine. It's alarming how I find it far from unpleasant. You've gone silent. Are you getting sleepy? This question started this whole thing. John issued me a challenge like this 3 months ago. My competitive nature didn't allow me to feel sleepy before he does. Before I know it, we're talking until the wee hours of the morning. Somewhere along the line, the challenge lay forgotten. He doesn't even sound like he's egging me on. His concern is so apparent in his tone, I can't help but bristle. No, I cringe at my awkward attempt to bring some sort of normalcy in the conversation. I can only hope he takes the hint and competes with me as he used to for my peace of mind. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Well, I am. Got an early start tomorrow. He yawns, and I could hear the smile in his voice as he bids me goodnight. When he drops the call, I flop on my bed, wishing it would swallow me whole. It's not like I hate spending time with John. It's actually quite the opposite. But work will always be my priority. Regrettably, it puts me at odds with him. The impromptu brunches, the late-night phone calls, they all give me something to look forward to besides work. It's refreshing and scary at the same time. Throughout my life, my work is the center of my focus. Having something else slowly creeping up and destabilizing my priorities is a terrifying prospect. I should be more horrified. But the last 3 months feels like the beginning of something great, something special. Somewhere deep inside me, I don't want to let this go. John won't say a word, but he doesn't need to. There's only one reason for a man like him to go through these unnecessary lengths to spend time with me. I, for one, don't want to open that Pandora's box. For the sake of my career, I have to nip this in the bud before it blooms. The question is, how do I do that? Do I really even want to? I lay wide awake for a couple more hours, just staring at my ceiling before sleep eventually overtakes me. Thankfully, my body is so used to the late nights. I have no problems waking up after the first ring of my alarm. I got that morning coffee I'm aiming for as well. All in all, my day is exactly the same as before. After my introspection last night, though, my interaction with John got a whole new meaning. Like now, for example, I'm conscious of the fact John hasn't messaged me good morning yet. Until now, I never thought not receiving a message from him would put me on edge. Maybe I should greet him first for a change. Blaming the lack of sleep for my sudden uncertainty, I shake these intruding thoughts away. It's supposed to be such a simple thing for me to be absorbed in my work. Usually, I don't even bother conceptualizing my dinner until I clock off. My dilemma with John apparently matters to me more than I expected, since even the stack of folders on my desk can't take it off my mind. Mr. Bauer passes by my desk, bidding me good day. It takes me back to our conversation a few days ago. His receding hairline isn't evident that day as well, and he looks as if he slept like a baby. If only everyone had the luxury. You're starting to worry me, you know, he confesses, placing the plate on my desk without waiting for my reply. As far as I know, you don't have any high-profile jobs lined up. And yet, you look like you have the entire world on your shoulders. I mull over it for a while before deciding. Screw it. Let's just say, I have this friend, I drawl, purposely being vague. She's been talking to this person. They're on the opposite ends of the spectrum, and she thinks it's not going to have a happy ending. Why do you think it won't have a happy ending? No, this isn't about me. I frantically wave my hands in denial. Anyway, my friend and this guy are direct competitors. How would the relationship even work if they're always going after the same client? Won't the conflict affect their personal lives? Well, the way I see it, your friend, just needs to go for it. His lips twist into a smile as if recalling a fond memory. My wife, bless her, is quite headstrong and stubborn. Not a single day comes when we don't get into an argument. He shrugs sheepishly. But, that's just who we are. We understand each other well enough to not take these arguments personally. Conflict is always a part of the relationship, no matter the source. And it's up to us to compromise and look for a middle ground. But what if it affects work? Her career is kind of a big deal for my friend. Your work won't go anywhere. Don't let it bleed into your personal life. He pauses and stares up at the ceiling as if the words he's looking for are written there. Think of it like this. If your friend and her man can get together, she always comes out on top. How so? They frequently compete, right? If she wins, then that's her victory. If the man wins, she can share the happiness of the love of her life. He places an encouraging hand on my shoulder. Call him. Life's too short to be wrapped up in these silly things. It takes a while before I realized my efforts at being vague were completely useless. Hey, I wasn't talking about me. Sure you weren't.
Chapter 17. John. After a week of prematurely ending every call with "I'm tired, can we talk again tomorrow?" I started to notice a pattern. Claire and I usually talk about nothing in particular, but if we delve into more personal topics, she'll scurry away with her tail between her legs. Claire uncharacteristically taking the coward's way out would have been so hilarious if only it's not at my expense. While I'm curious what inspired the sudden change, I don't want to push her unnecessarily. After all, I'm not going anywhere. I can wait until Claire figures things out on her own. So, I relent, tell her to stay safe, and drop the call gracefully. I admire her contact picture for a minute or two before getting back to work. No matter how much Claire's pretty eyes get to me, I won't allow myself to slack off. Perhaps this little competition of ours is the reason why she's still hesitant. I wonder if I could say something that can push her in the right direction. Our companies being direct competitors has nothing to do with our budding relationship. Even if we take our unlikely friendship a step further, our dynamic in our respective jobs doesn't need to change. Heck, the whole rivalry thing might even be hot. I'm so lost in my thoughts, I don't notice Divine cautiously approaching me. "You have a weird look on your face." Quickly schooling my expression into a neutral one, I scoff at her remark. "Do I? Must be because you're delivering another difficult one to me." I nod at the stack of folders she's carrying. She rolls her eyes at my accurate assumption. "You're right. You need to tread carefully with this one." Divine nods, her face grim as she slides the folders in my direction. "Here, see it for yourself." Upon opening the folder, a picture of a familiar man I've been seeing on the news for the past few days greets me. I raise an incredulous eyebrow when I realize exactly who the man is. Adam Whitlock, the senator. Wasn't he involved in a high-profile affair last month? Charming, isn't he? Divine grins wryly, settling comfortably on the leather chair in front of my desk. Mr. Senator here is looking for an ad agency to help with his campaign. He's expectedly struggling. I scoff at that, remembering the news and the Twitter meltdown that followed. I imagine that's what cheating on your wife with 5 different famous models and actresses will get you. Be that as it may, we have to acquire this client for Line Ad Agency. I'm not going to mince my words. He's sparing no expense for his campaign. I'm sure you understand why this deal will be lucrative for our company. I've been in this industry for far too long, so her message is not that hard to get. The bigger the risk, the greater the reward. She nods, satisfied with my answer. Exactly. I'm giving you this job because I have faith in your capabilities, especially with cases like this. Don't botch it. She doesn't say it outright, but I still hear the "like Isaac Roberts" she leaves unsaid. Yes, ma'am. Knowing she's not really attacking me personally, I give her a playful salute. So, is there anything I should know about? The other agencies already scurried away like flies the moment this big fish entered the picture. The way I see it, the competition will be scarce. Divine crosses her arms, already looking victorious. She's this confident we already have this job in the bag. The hardest part is the job itself. How you make a man with such a scandalous background look pretty is up to you. Her earlier remark makes me remember something. Almost no competition? I pause, thinking if I could get away with fishing for more information without being too obvious about it. Deciding Divine is as perceptive as a potato regarding matters of the heart, I take the plunge. How about RB Works? I have no information about that yet, she shrugs, her eyebrows scrunching together in worry. But I have no doubt they'll try to get in on the project. Divine doesn't need to put it into words. I already know why she's this anxious. So that means they'll send Claire Simon. Congratulations and good luck, she snorts. Months have passed, and she's apparently still not over line ad agency, not getting the job with Isaac Roberts' campaign. Good for you. Now you can get back at her for the whole Isaac Roberts thing. It doesn't sound too good for me knowing how Claire probably sees this entire situation. She's improving, but the woman still has a giant stick up her butt sometimes. Us being on the opposite side once more is not going to do our budding relationship any favors. My phone suddenly starts ringing. Our eyes snap toward the object sitting innocently on my desk. Divine is close enough to see the caller ID reflected on the screen. And that's my cue to leave. Divine stands up from the couch, giving me a knowing look. Marry the woman if you must. Just don't let it affect your job. She's more nonchalant about this than I expected. Apparently she's not that much of a potato than I initially assumed. It's too soon for marriage, Mom. Please don't call me that ever again. She visibly cringes. And wipe that stupid look on your face, it's disgusting. I resist the urge to call her out for being more severe than a sheltered old nun. She leaves without another word. I wait until she's out of earshot to accept the call. John? There's a hint of apprehensiveness in Claire's voice. It's all I need to confirm Divine's suspicion about our main competition for this job. I just wanted to give you a heads up. She pauses, suddenly unsure, before dropping the bomb. RB Works is not backing out of the Adam Whitlock deal, and I've been assigned to the project.
Chapter 18. Claire. So it'll be you and me, huh? It seems so. He doesn't seem to care. We're basically opponents again. My mood deflates, but I try to keep a stiff upper lip. May the best man win. I should be glad you're not a man then. John gloats in his usual confident manner. Even without seeing his face, I know he's smirking at our banter. I'm starting to think John enjoys our repartee more than I do. Good luck, Claire. And I mean it. You're going to need a lot of it to win against me after all. Arrogant bastard. I shake my head. He can't see my mock exasperation, but I try to get it across anyway. Can't wait to wipe that smirk off your face. I'd like to see you try. What's with that comeback? Are you in high school? There's a commotion somewhere in John's office. From his sudden silence, I'm guessing it has something to do with work. Listen, I have to run. Duty calls? John said, obviously in a hurry. Come early tomorrow. Let's have a drink at the hotel or something. I heard they have an open bar. We're going to work, John. I tut disapprovingly. You think you can sabotage me that easily? Can't say I didn't try. He jokes. Take care, Claire. See you tomorrow. He hangs up before I can reassure him it will take divine intervention before I let him get an easy win. John is a lot of things, but you can't say he isn't dedicated to his job. Even now, it seems like he's pulling another overtime. I've been called an ambitious, career driven by many people my whole life, but it's not me who's working beyond office hours. The streets are empty on my way to the hotel, where I'm meeting another client. It gives me time to mull over the events that led to the present. Even with John going right back to the banter between two rivals, minus the hostility this time, there's still a part of me that's pessimistic about this whole thing. Now, there's this job too. I know we'll be pitted against each other eventually. I just didn't expect it'll happen so soon. The stakes are too high this time since only RB works and Line Ad Agency is presenting a proposal. No matter how my relationship with John has improved, I'm still in a difficult position. Asking Mr. Bauer for someone else to take on the task is no use. The fact he has to put his foot down is a testament to how important this client is. RB Works needs to send their best, and no one is better than the Claire Simon, the infamous Black Widow of the advertising industry. This whole situation is giving me a headache. I wish I can appear as easygoing as John, but my career is literally on the line here. It's going to be so awkward to meet him as his opponent again. Do I even have it in me to use my usual tactics against him? I'll think about it carefully when I take a much-needed hot bath later. This client is easier than the one I'll have tomorrow, and since it's too late for me to go home, and the hotel Adam Whitlock is staying at is just a short drive from here, I decide to get a room for the night. My room is a large suite on the top floor. A queen-sized bed is the focus, dominating the entire space as I enter. I sit on the bed and take the chance to admire the texture of the gold silk sheets before removing my pumps. Rubbing my aching heel bone, I'm once again impressed by the smooth texture of the carpet. If the suite itself is already this good, I can't even begin to imagine the bath that awaits me. As it turns out, it's everything I expected and more. Sinking into the warm bath instantly relaxes me. The only thing that can make this better is a massage that will melt the knots in my shoulders after a long day in the office. Perhaps I'm more exhausted than I feel because I pass out as soon as I hit the bed. It's a shame I slept on the hotel's evening buffet, but I need to be in top form tomorrow. I make sure to eat my breakfast, first meal of the day and all that. Their service is so impeccable. I wouldn't mind if this is my last day on Earth. In the afternoon, I lounge on the sofa in my room, reviewing my proposal for tonight. I didn't get to mull over my awkward situation with John, but I figure it's something I can do when we meet at the hotel. After carefully applying my makeup and checking if my things are in order, I give myself a little pep talk in the mirror. There's something about this day that gives me a rare feeling of hope. I chalk it up to the comfy sheets that had me sleeping like a baby. The roads are slick from the heavy rain that afternoon. I pray it won't rain while I'm on the road. I squint my eyes to see better in the dark. For some reason, this main road's lights are too dim. Isn't this dangerous? I barely register the speeding car heading in my direction. The red sedan barely enters my sight. It rams the front of my car, sending me into a wild spin on the highway. I crash against another vehicle, a large truck not able to avoid the disaster fast enough. The impact knocks the air out of my lungs immediately, but I'm still lucid enough to curse my damn luck. The last thing I see is John's face, the arrogant glint of his eyes I have come to love over the past few months, before the darkness overwhelms me.
I hope you're enjoying this audiobook by Vic Savon. If you want to keep hearing more audiobooks, then please hit that subscribe button and like the video. It may seem insignificant, but the more people that subscribe, the easier it is to produce more audiobooks in the future. So please help us out and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for listening, and now back to your book.
Chapter 19. John. I'm not aware I've been tapping my foot impatiently until the man beside me tuts disapprovingly. I put a hand on my leg to calm my nerves. Today is supposed to be a big day for Line Ad Agency, but I only have Claire on my mind. Unprofessional, I know, but I've been looking forward to seeing her again after weeks of just talking on the phone. I downed 3 more glasses of water, toying with the idea of sending Claire a message. I fumble a bit, wondering what to say before I decide to abandon the idea. Another man sits beside me. He's watching live news on his phone, the volume loud enough for the entire bar to hear. The person on the other side of me tuts once again, but unlike me, this jerk seems to lack consideration. Since he's generous enough to let me catch the news, I might as well take advantage of it. In other news, a car crash occurred on 6th Street after a drunk driver drove against traffic and caused a huge accident. Currently, there is only one injured, a black woman named Claire Simon. At the sound of her name, my head whips toward the phone. The news anchor is saying she's being rushed to the hospital for immediate care. The screen shows her picture, the one where she's smiling so confidently as if she knows she's the smartest person in the room. Now, that smile made my heart beat wildly in my chest for an entirely different reason. Without a second to waste, I walk out of the hotel, leaving my drink and suitcase on the bar. I bump into Paul at the main lobby on the way out, but his calls go in one ear and out the other. I've never driven this fast in my life. Recalling the name of the hospital in the news, I rush there as quickly as I can. Thankfully, the hospital is only a few blocks away from the hotel. I don't even bother checking if I parked properly. I'll come back for it later. The ambulance arrives just as I step out of the car. The nurses and EMT rush toward it, a stretcher already ready. They carefully transfer Claire as I approach. The footage on the news is one thing, but seeing her injury in person is a whole different beast. Claire has a neck brace, and there is blood and bruises all over her body. My hands clam with cold sweat, and I can't even take a step forward from shock. One of the nurses spots me. "Sir, are you a relative?" Screw procedures. Nothing matters but the woman in front of me. Screaming Claire's name, I ignore the protests of the nurses. I reach for her hand. It's as cold as mine, but it twitches as if she recognizes me. "I love you, Claire," I whisper as I hold her hand tighter. She moans in pain, which gives me hope. At the very least, she's conscious. I'll be waiting for you. 2 months later, that horrific accident slowly becomes just a bitter thing of the past. Claire makes a quicker recovery than expected, and she goes back to work with guns blazing. As if to make up for the failed deal with Adam Whitlock, she scores many other lucrative deals left and right with more reputable clients this time. As for Line Ad Agency, well, we're not able to close that deal either. The honor went to a much smaller agency run by the senator's relative. The jerk's nepotism bit him in the butt when he lost the election by a mile. Claire and I share a laugh when we watch Adam Whitlock's sorry behind try and look magnanimous in the face of his opponents gloating on national television. The best part is Claire and I are no longer sneaking around. The only downside to dating her openly is the annoying teasing from both of our bosses. Despite this, we have an agreement to remain professional at work. The competition remains fierce in the workplace and in bed. We're dining close to the marina tonight. Stars litter the evening skies. It adds to the warm ambience the lights surrounding the porch of the restaurant provide. Claire is positively glowing under the starlight, making the ring in my pocket weigh heavier. "How unexpectedly romantic of you," she remarks, looking around the restaurant. When she looks up, her smile grows fondly. This reminds me of our time on the small island. "The ambience was great, but the food was terrible." "Yeah, I prefer the dinners we had after that," she laughs, reminiscing our secret dates. It's like sneaking around overprotective parents as a teenager. "Claire Simon's rebellious face," I smirk, taking a sip of champagne. "I would have paid to see that." "Hell no." Claire shakes her head bemusedly. "You'd see me in worse shape than the accident 2 months ago. You'd freak worse than my parents for sure." There's a mischievous glimmer in her eyes as she recalls the accident nowadays. It's a relief she's recovered enough she looks back at the incident with humor. I know she's considerate of my feelings, but the memory of her barely conscious body on the stretcher still feels like a stab to the heart. "I love you, but you'd be the death of me. Going along with her attempt at humor, I give her a wry grin as I reach for her hand. So, if you could please refrain from getting into car accidents in the future, I'd be thankful. She gives my hand a firm squeeze in return. John, but I'd be even more thankful if you'd spend the rest of your accident-free life by my side. Claire's eyes widen when she spots the small velvet box I place on the table. Will you marry me? Do you even need to ask? Her eyes sparkle with tears of joy as I put the ring on her finger. Yes. My lips lock with Claire's the moment we enter my apartment. We head straight for the bedroom. She holds my face with both of her hands before I can pull her with me. The kiss is soft, sensual, and slow. It's different from the hurried and passionate ones we usually share. She wants tonight to be different, to commemorate the beginning of our new life together. But I have other ideas. Well, things are heating up again. You know what to do. Go to VixAvonRomance.com to get the dirty details that this platform won't put on the air. I know it sucks, but at least you can get a 40% discount with code VIXA40 to make up for it. Use it while it lasts, and apply it to every digital product in your cart. Back to the story.
Chapter 20. Claire. We immediately get to work after the proposal. John's meticulousness rears its ugly head throughout the whole wedding planning. I should be annoyed, but I can't help that I find his fussing over every small detail a little cute. Thankfully, he's thorough in both his work and personal life. After resolving a lengthy argument about the color scheme for the flower arrangements, the rest of the planning phase goes off without a hitch. 4 months later, John and I are standing in front of a pastor, smiling like a couple of idiots. He wears a black tuxedo that does wonders for his biceps. Despite the cool image he exudes, his nervous fidgets make him look absolutely adorable. We exchange our vows in front of our family and friends. Our competitive nature won't allow us to shed a tear until the other gives in first. Those in attendance cheer loudly when we kiss, marking the beginning of our marriage. My eyes blur with unshed tears as John kisses my hand, but I manage to hold it in long enough to see a single tear fall down his cheek first. Robert and Divine give their individual speeches at our reception. For the first time in history, RB Works and Line Ad Agency employees aren't in each other's throats. It's team building all over again. Except the two of us aren't competing over the silliest things. I've always thought they looked good together, I hear Robert remark as we pass by him and his wife on the dance floor. From enemies to lovers. It's good to be young again. His wife nods in agreement, giving me a wink when our eyes meet. Our guests mercifully allow us to leave without too much teasing. We set off for our honeymoon immediately, and soon enough, our destination is in sight, the place where everything began. The island is as beautiful as when we left it. Renting the entirety of it is expensive, but we figure it'll be worth it. John doesn't waste time and leads me to the crevice shortly after we settle in. What are we, on our 50th anniversary? Isn't it too early to travel down memory lane? I joke. John's eyes are misty as he recalls that fateful night. He squeezes my hand, giving me a look so full of love I almost melt on the spot. You could have left me there. We were always at odds, but the first thing you did was help the jerk you fought with at every opportunity. His voice cracks with so much emotion I can't help but be teary-eyed as well. That night, I'm probably the luckiest man in the world. I wrap my arms around him, hugging him tight to chase away all the horrible memories. John leans against me and presses a kiss on top of my hair. Smiling, he leads me toward the beach where he flops down to lie on the sand. He pulls me down with him, playfully nuzzling my nose with his own. When I feel his hands sliding below my bra, I pull back to glare at him. Here? I narrow my eyes at him, protesting weakly. It's not like his traveling hands are entirely unpleasant. Seriously, John? Come on. We're on a private beach. You've never really lived until you've made love under the stars. So how many women have you screwed on the beach? 1, if you're up for it. He winks at the same time he gives my chest a squeeze. Hey there, it's me again. It's still pretty spicy in here, so if you want to get the full chapter, find it in the unabridged version on VixaVonRomance.com. Use code VIXA40 for 40% off your favorite audiobooks and ebooks. Thanks for listening to Vixavon, Romance on YouTube.